What's up everybody, D-Man back, and today I finally got and will be reviewing Godzilla vs Shimo Battle Pack from Playmates for Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. Pretty sure that aside from the Godzilla whose skin you can take off and put back on, the rubber Godzilla, the evolving one, I'm pretty sure this is the last figure from Playmates' first wave of Godzilla Kong New Empire figures that I still had yet to get, and there's no chance I'm picking up that rubbery Godzilla now. I heard that Playmates just kind of underproduced those things, so my hunt for them has been in vain. Here's the Godzilla vs Shimo Battle Pack. Of course, I did previously check out and unbox the Kong vs Scar King Battle Pack, so if you want to hear my thoughts on that, you can go check that out. This is obviously in a similar vein, and so let's get this thing open and see what it's all about. Pretty decent packaging. I like the big window, lets you see them right up front so that you can see the differences. Godzilla's a little bluer, Shimo's a little like the same. The back of the box gives a little bit better of a look at the Shimo in particular, where you can see the blue on her a little better. Godzilla's over here. I really like this back of the box art. It looks good. The pink looks great. The set looks pretty decent. Bottom of the box just shows you what you're getting, shows all the accessories, and then teases the Kong set. Top of the box is just info. Side of the box is just the standard sides of the box that you'd get on any other Playmates figure. This is supposed to include the Evolved Godzilla, a Heat Ray, Bone Piece Diorama battle sets, Shimo's Frostbite Breath, and Shimo. It also includes Hollow Earth crystals. Cool. In case you've forgotten my review of the Kong and Scar King set, I really love playsets. I think they're a lot of fun, and I really love that Playmates is doing them. Here, obviously, you can see the playset pieces of that. They are single-sided cardboard. I am a little disappointed that they're single-sided. It would be cooler if they were double-sided so that you could set them up a little better, but they're single-sided cardboard pieces, and then you get a paper sheet of instructions. These playset pieces are incredibly easy to assemble. You just kind of fold them into place, and then you follow the instructions and stick the things where it tells you to stick them, and that's how they go in. I can actually see these things being a lot of fun to make for younger kids. I think that would be a huge hit for the younger crowd, so I really like that they do these. They're awesome. I do just wish they were double-sided. As for the crystal pieces, they go together super easy as well. It's two pieces, you just fold one and stick it in the other. Pretty simple. And here's the other two completed. I didn't want mine to be perfectly symmetrical. I wanted mine to be a little different. That way it can have some different dimensions to it. Give it a little bit more depth. Alright, and I got Godzilla and Shimo out of the box. Let's see how the tails go on. Should be nice and easy with these Playmates ones. They typically do. Shimo's puts up a bit of a struggle. It's a little bit of a harder force, but you should be able to get it. And if you're a kid, you might just need to ask an older person to do it. Godzilla's, I remember being pretty easy, so let's find out. And it was incredibly easy. Godzilla's goes on super, super easy. Godzilla seems skinnier now in hand than he did when I got him the original time, and it's not because they've changed him, I don't think. There's just something about the paint job that makes him feel incredibly sleek. He looks little. And then here's Shimo. I'm pretty positive at one point in development these things were supposed to be able to fire out of the tail. I don't know that for sure, but that feels to me like something they would have done, and that would have been awesome. Now we got the two of them, so now we can do a big battle. I'll start out with Godzilla. This is the standard Playmates Evolved Godzilla. If you want to hear my in-depth thoughts about this guy, go check out my review of the Playmates Evolved Godzilla. I'll give some brief thoughts. I think the sculpt is alright. On the whole, I think it's okay. I really like some of the details. Like, I think the dorsal spines actually have some pretty good detailing, as well as the legs look pretty solid. However, this is a Playmates Godzilla action figure, and they tend to be very unrendered. And you can really see that on the chest and the body. The neck is a little too thick. It makes Godzilla look a little too bulky, and it makes his head look a little too small. The spines overall look pretty solid, and the tail piece looks really good, and the arms also look really great. Things like the insides of the legs are unrendered. Godzilla's whole little body's unrendered. That's typically so that you can have a bit more mobility, like you can articulate the arms a little easier, but to me it comes across as a little cheap. Bandai never really has these issues. Bandai's figures generally always look better than this. As far as paint goes, I think it's actually pretty neat. Maybe I would have liked to see them take it a little further, but I do think they've done an okay job with it. Godzilla's spines on the top of his head look pretty good. The eyes are very derpy. They're not looking in the right direction, unfortunately, and they are painted on too big. They still are painted so big they don't really fit the eye socket. The teeth look really good, as does the tongue. I love the translucent red spines. Of course, those look fantastic. The tail piece is the exact same tail piece as the original release. It's got the pinkish paint all over the top, and it kind of bleeds into a gradient into the bluer piece on the bottom. The body overall is this kind of dullish bluish color, which is weird because Evolved Godzilla is more of a brown color than that. And then the front of Godzilla is where they've done the blue effect to make him seem colder, I I guess, because Shimo's an ice dragon. Originally, when I saw the playset of Godzilla and Shimo fighting in some crystals and some bones, I thought there would be a Godzilla vs. Shimo 1v1 in an icy layer of Shimos, and that just doesn't happen in the movie. Godzilla and Shimo actually never do a proper 1v1, and while I'm cool with them making this figure set, I don't understand the blue color palette as a result of it. I guess it's just because Shimo is an ice dragon. As for articulation, Godzilla's pretty solid, got a good tail piece. The legs can kick out, the arms can kick up. The neck is a little stiff. It's kind of hard to get it to turn side to side, but it can. Mine's really resisting, and it feels like if I try and force it to turn all the way around, it's gonna snap off and break. Watch out for that. And then the mouth can open and close. 9 points of articulation overall, including the little feet joints to let the feet spin. That's pretty solid for a Godzilla toy. And then of course he does come with the supercharged atomic beam. Here's Shimo, it's Shimo time, everybody! Again, if you want to hear more in-depth thoughts, I do have a review of the Shimo already. The Shimo sculpt looks pretty good. I really like the face and the neck piece. I think those both look very good. The teeth are sculpted on there well, the eye pieces look good. The crown on the head looks pretty good. The entire back looks pretty awesome with these crystal shards, and then the whole tail piece looks fantastic. Both the bottom of the tail and the top of the tail have really good detailing. Shimo's arms and legs do look pretty nice, as does the underbelly of Shimo in certain areas, particularly the lower areas it looks better. On the whole, Shimo's sides are overly smoothed out to allow for a smoother range of articulation, but it does wind up cheapening the figure's aesthetic overall. As for the paint job, they have made some stylistic changes here, so while Shimo overall still looks pretty much identical to the original release aside from the back crystals, they have made some incredibly subtle changes to the actual base paint for Shimo, particularly on the belly. You can't really see it on this camera, but when I hold it up to the bright light that's positioned right off the camera right here, I can see there are these incredibly subtle blue hues in it, which make me think that the base paint for Shimo, or at least for the belly of Shimo, had blue mixed into it. That way it could create this newer, colder look, which I actually like quite a bit. The head crown now goes from darker to lighter, as does the back. The back now has some crystal shards of Shimos that are lighter blue than the rest. Tailpiece is the exact same, with the purple hue that goes into the white through that gradient, which looks great. Mine does have some paint scratching quality control issues, particularly on this back foot here, but I guess that lets you know they were trying to add some blue into this guy. It's a pretty neat addition to Shimo. I don't know if it's different enough, but I appreciate it, I suppose. The eyes are also nicely painted on, and then the pink tongue looks pretty good. As for articulation, Shimo actually has quite a bit. The tail can swing all the way around. All of the arms and legs can kick out, as can the feet. You can actually get a full 360 with the arms, and not only can they go around, but they can also spread out on the front, which looks really good. The neck has a great range of articulation to it. You can get it in some pretty cool poses and get Shimo looking pretty awesome, and then of course the mouth can open quite wide so that you can fit in the frostbite blast beam. And now you can have Godzilla who's way oversized compared to the Shimo, and Shimo do the thing that fans really wanted to see them do in the movie but they didn't get to. Who would win? Comment below and let me know. It's obviously evolved Godzilla because he was like wildly overpowered. Well, there's the two of them standing next to each other. Some subtle blues and some very obvious blues. Comparing Godzilla to Godzilla here, you can see right away the differences. Again, I don't know if they're different enough, especially on the sides. The backs are identical. You can see the difference, but it's just not as different as it maybe could have been. And then the fronts is really what is very different about the two of them. And that looks pretty decent at least. And then here's Godzilla and the Kong from the Kong and Scar King set. You can see those two next to each other. Now you can see the blue Godzilla and the red Kong. And I do like the color contrast between the blue and the red. That's pretty cool. Again though, it's like from the side, barely different than the original figures. And then finally here's the Scar King, who was subtly different, standing off against that Godzilla, the two that really didn't get to fight nearly enough in the movie. As for the Shimos, like I said, very subtle differences on the Shimo. That blue color really doesn't come across without looking at it with a very fine eye. The big obvious difference between these two guys is the spines and how one of them has darker purple and the other one bleeds into those lighter blue pieces. I think they were too subtle with it and didn't really justify the changes made in the first place because it does look nearly identical to the original. Here's our new Shimo and Kong looking pretty solid next to each other. Again, there's that red and blue difference, which looks pretty awesome. And then the Shimo and Scar King. Scar King also has subtle differences, but his are more obvious than Shimo's are, thankfully. These guys are always gonna look awesome next to each other because they're both just very cool designs in general. Overall, I think the Godzilla vs. Shimo playset is okay. I think they could have taken it a lot further in many areas, painting the sides of Godzilla and giving Shimo something more noticeably different than this very subtle blue mixed in, and then the back shards. I think they could have gone further with that especially. On their own, I don't think either the Godzilla or the Shimo justifies their existence as figures, but but seeing as though they were sold in a 2-pack with those accessories, I think they did generally wind up justifying their existences, and I'm glad that they were made. I think the battle pack is a fun idea. I like the accessories, and I like that they aren't literally the same figures as before. I like that there was at least some paint changes to them to make sure you just weren't buying the same product over and over again. Overall, I would give the Godzilla vs. Shimo battle pack a 6.5 out of 10. I think they could have gone further with it, but I do like the accessories and I like the idea of it overall, and it is very fun. And when you can have a set to make them fight in, that's always awesome. Thank you guys all for watching. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. If you want to check out the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below, where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. Supporting the Patreon is the most direct way to support this channel and make sure that I can continue to make videos like this for you. Do you have the Godzilla vs. Shimo battle pack? If so, comment below and let me know what you think of it. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man, out.